Good afternoon, adventurers. Here we are at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex for the 50th anniversary of the Apollo missions.
Join us, adventurers.
Okay, adventurers, here we are heading into the bus tour that heads back to the launch pads and the Saturn Apollo Center. As we're standing online for the Saturn Rocket Museum waiting for the bus, you notice that these photos here are from images from Mars.
We're inside the VAV at level 26, 274 feet up.
Now, the bay doors on the vehicle assembly building are the world's tallest vertical doors. They're 456 feet tall. When one bay panel is opened up all the way, it takes 45 minutes to get it open all the way. And when we close it, it takes 45 minutes to close it all the way. Centers is Launch Control Center for Kennedy Space Center. There are 4 firing rooms in there. Number 1 is on the right corner, number 4 is on the left, and in between the 2 in the middle is launch 2 and 3. On the day of a launch, there could be as many as 200 people in a single firing room. Each one of them would have a specific task to perform, either before, during, or after the launch. Directly in front of us here, there are 2 crawler transporters. Now, the crawlers weigh 6 million pounds. They have 2 tracks on each corner. One track alone has 57 cleats on it. Right there in the corner, you see is the driver's compartment. Above those 2 tracks, there's another one in the back on the opposite corner that he goes to when he's driving in the opposite direction. So one driving compartment is for going out to the launch pad. The other one is for coming back to the vehicle assembly building. Now, with this launch platform sitting out on the launch pad right over top of the flame trench, when the launch vehicle lifted off, the flames would pass through it as they're going into the flame trench. Now, this launch vehicle, mobile launch platform, was used by the shuttle, so there will be 3 openings underneath. The first one in the front was for the shuttle's 3 main engines, and each one behind it was for each one of the solid rocket boosters. This next mobile launch platform, also used by the shuttle. So you've seen 2 of them, we have 3 of them. The third one is inside the vehicle assembly building. This is the crawlerway, goes all the way out to launch pad 39A and pad 39B.
As you step off the bus to the Apollo Saturn V Center, here's a new section that we just stumbled upon, adventurers. Welcome to the Moon Tree Garden. Let's step in and see what's here, adventurers. Here we are walking through the Moon Tree Garden with a tribute to the Apollo 11. Here's the Apollo 10 mission. And the Apollo 9. Here is a tribute to Michael Collins, Neil Armstrong, and Edwin Buzz Aldrin of the Apollo 11. The Eagle has landed.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We hadn't been more than 16 minutes into space, and now we were going to the moon. It was January 27th, 1967. Astronauts Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee were on board Apollo 1 for a plugs-out test, a full-scale dress rehearsal for the actual launch. Suddenly it happened. There was a fire in the capsule. 3 men whose lives had been in our hands were lost.
Surely the opening vistas of space promise high cost and hardships, as well as high reward. But this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them.
This is the firing room, launch control for the Apollo missions. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us a year and a half behind. We were making up for it in one big leap, and we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. It was a few days before Christmas 1968 when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from the Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through the pre-flight checks. Our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems, and to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. If a maneuvering thruster failed, if communications broke down, if navigation was off by 1 degree, if any piece of the miles of wiring, circuits, relays, or valves was defective, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders would pay with their lives. As they sat, waiting for launch on that chill December morning, these 3 astronauts were back to what they had always been, test pilots. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened. Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
This is launch control, T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We've completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. Firing command is able to now on the automatic sequence T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready, instrument unit is ready, spacecraft ready, final check of the emergency detection system, that ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
Okay. Keep going. And we're on. Ready to go to contact. Stand by, motor. Okay, you're on.
All systems go. T-minus 45 seconds and counting. first stage liquid oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark T-minus 90 seconds and counting. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Borman, chair motor Bill Anders. We now report that the liquid hydrogen tank in the third stage is pressurized. 1 minute 15 seconds. All third stage propellants pressurized at this time as we come up on the 60-second mark on the flight to the moon. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming up on a power transfer shortly. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight preparation within the launch vehicle. Final reports coming from Frank Borman at this time. Final look at the switches aboard the spacecraft. 20 seconds, all aspects. We are still low at this time. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10.
Apollo 8 successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away. But it was the hundreds of thousands of men and women who worked in that team, and the millions of people who supported the mission that really made it possible. That way, I guess, we all went to the moon. Now, on the other side of those doors, you'll find an actual Saturn V moon rocket. It's still the most powerful, the most complex machine ever built. And I guess it's the only one that can take you to another planet. I actually got to fly one on the second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.
Okay, so this is something new. This is a carving made from the original moon tree that was located at Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center. They did this for the Apollo 50th anniversary. Look how detailed this is. This is just amazing. Amazing artwork here.
The first question everybody has is this a real rocket, a real Saturn V? And the answer is yes. This first stage was what we call the T-bird. It was what we call a test article, strapped down and fired in Mississippi. But it is every bit as real as the ones that launched people to the moon. You know, when they're doing the test cars in Detroit, when they make a new car and they drive it on the test track, is that car going to be available for you for sale next Thursday at the dealership? No, it's a test car, but is it a real car? Sure. Same with this first stage. It is a real first stage, 200,000 gallons of what we call RP1, refined kerosene. 300,000 gallons of liquid oxygen. The only significant, in fact, these F1 engines have been test fired 22 times. The only significant difference between this first stage and the first stages of the Saturn V rockets that launched people to another world is that those are on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, and that's an entirely different tour. Now, undoubtedly you know, of course today is the anniversary of landing on the moon for Apollo 11. You probably know the last time we went to the moon with people was Apollo 17, 1972. These young folk are going back any time now. But what you might not know is that there was supposed to be an Apollo 18, 19, and 20. Those moon missions got canceled. What you see in just a few minutes would have been the second and third stages for the Apollo 19 mission. So those are real too. The command and service module to your right is real. So lots of real stuff here. So we're going to be talking about it as we walk down this corridor here. Meantime though, these F1 engines are still the most powerful liquid-fueled rocket engines to ever successfully launch a rocket into space. 1.5 million pounds of thrust each, so the whole Magilla put out over 7.5 million pounds of thrust, which to the kids in the audience probably sounds like the Charlie Brown adult, right? Wow, 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 wow. So let me put it in a slightly different way. I know I have a multinational group, but does everybody know about the Daytona 500 car race? Daytona 500, right? So imagine at the beginning of that race, all of those cars, all of those engines, all of that horsepower added together at one time, times 7,000. That's how powerful the first stage of the Saturn V moon rocket was. It had to be. The rocket weighed 6.5 million pounds, 363 feet tall. Just to get it off the ground took that kind of oomph. Saturn V moon rocket is my weight loss hero, because in just 2.5 minutes it lost almost 5 million pounds. Right? I got to learn its secret. Actually, its secret was it burned up in those 2.5 minutes. 500,000 gallons of fuel and oxidizer got the rocket up to about 40 miles up in the atmosphere, not even out of the atmosphere yet. 5,000 to 6,000 miles an hour, just begun the mission, and we've already lost 4.8 million pounds of rocket. Come on, this is a walking tour. So this first stage was built by the Boeing Company, and we're going to get to walk under it. And there are 13 of them on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. They are currently launching what they call New Shepards from Texas. And those are reusable rockets. And one of the things, of course, you guys are going to want to save up your lunch money, because those are going to be tourist missions, suborbital missions. You'll go up. There's a big giant window there. You'll see the curve of the Earth. You'll experience weightlessness and re-entry. You'll be over 100 kilometers up, so you'll be astronauts. So we're 2.5 minutes into the flight, 40 miles up in the atmosphere, 5,000 to 6,000 miles an hour. Jettison the first stage. Fire right above you, you're seeing what we call J2 engines. Those are fueled not by refined kerosene, not by RP1, but by liquid hydrogen. So each of these put out about 220,000 pounds of thrust. The whole shoot match put out about a little over 1 million pounds of thrust. Did that for about 6 minutes, got us up to over 15,600 miles an hour, about 114.5 miles above the surface of the Earth. We're not even in orbit yet, and we've already lost another 1 million pounds of rocket. The second stage was built by North American Aviation. They're the same people who built the command and service module we saw earlier. And there are pieces of 13 of the second stage on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Now we're under the third stage J2 engine. Again, 220,000 pounds of thrust. Again, liquid hydrogen is the fuel. So we fired this engine on the third stage for a little over 2 minutes and got up to 17,500 miles an hour, which is called orbital velocity, fast enough to orbit the Earth. Right. So you know that first dip in a roller coaster? Imagine that never ending. That's basically what it's like to orbit the Earth. A lot of people think they are in zero gravity. They are not. They're under over 90% of the gravity that we have here on Earth. But they're going out as fast as they're falling. So they're falling around the Earth. Now, a lot of you, maybe this particular trip that you're on today, if you're anything like me, at the beginning of the trip, you made sure everybody went to the bathroom, you made sure everybody had a drink. Am I the only one, or I got a few nods of heads? Okay. Going to the moon for the first time, July of 1969, for Apollo landing on the moon. Going to the moon was Apollo 8, which you saw, but landing on the moon was Apollo 11. First time we were going to land on the moon, we wanted to make sure we were actually ready. We were actually committed. So we orbited the Earth about 1.5 times before we actually said, yes, we're go for commit. We fired this J2 engine in the third stage again for a second time for a little over 5 minutes when we were go for commit and headed out to where we needed to go at 24,500 miles an hour, which is called escape velocity, fast enough to break free of Earth's gravity. We not only had to figure out where the moon was going to be in 3 days, we had to figure out how the moon's gravity was affecting the spacecraft pulling on it. With slide rules! And if you don't know what a slide rule is, imagine 3 meter sticks. You move the middle one, that's how you get your math answer. No handheld calculators, no iPads. Neil Armstrong, first man to walk on the moon. It'll be coming up actually a little after 10 o'clock tonight. Will be the anniversary of his first walk on the moon. Had a slide rule on him for last minute calculations. These folks are geniuses. If you ever run into anybody with a blue shirt with white docent on their shirt, those are engineers that worked on this program. Ask them questions, they love it. Come on. Okay, so up to your front, top left, you see that looks like an ice cream cone with a plus Z and a plus Y on it? That is officially called the SLAW, the Spacecraft Lunar Module Adapter. But I like calling it the garage, because basically it was the garage for the lunar module. By the way, the lunar module you're looking at is not a model. That would have been the actual lunar module for Apollo 15. However, we decided to use the lunar rover, starting with Apollo 15, the car on the moon. Well, even folded up, you needed a bigger lunar module to fit it in than this one. So this became a leftover. We no longer could use this. This became a leftover, but it is every bit as real as the lunar module that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon at 4:17 Eastern Daylight Time 50 years ago today. 20 to 40 seconds after firing the second stage engine, we didn't need the launch escape system anymore. We're high up above enough Earth, we don't need it anymore. So the launch escape system blasted off into space to wherever the launch escape system rolling it on. And it took with it the white cover that covered the command module, which is why the command module was silvery after that when it went to the moon. On behalf of the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, NASA, and myself, my name is William, and I hope you enjoyed your tour of the Saturn V rocket. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.
1, get Houston, over. Houston, Columbia, read your last clear, help me. Front 5, Mike, I didn't go, over. Listen, Dave, everything's going just swimmingly. Beautiful. Great. We're standing by for Eagle. Okay, Houston, come on. We copy out.
As soon as the Eagle reappears, things begin to go wrong.
Right, we've lost the coverage. We've lost all data with Eagle.
Radio communications break down.
Eagle, Houston, did you call?
Messages to Eagle must be relayed through Mike Collins aboard the command module Columbia. Throughout the crucial final checks, contact with the Eagle keeps dropping out.
Don't lose that data.
And Flight Director Gene Kranz inches closer to aborting the mission. With the vital computer links temporarily holding, the moment of decision is now.
Okay, all flight controllers, donuts open landing. Retro, go, right up, go. Guys, go. Control, go. Telcom, go. InSpeed, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for landing. Eagle, Houston, you're go for landing, over. I understand, go for landing.
Hurtling toward the moon at 3,800 miles per hour, Neil Armstrong notices his checkpoints are all appearing too soon. This means a serious navigation error. Suddenly, the computer starts firing the maneuvering thrusters, jolting the ship back and forth. This has happened in simulations, but never this much, never this violent. The smooth descent is becoming a bumpy ride. Before that is fixed, a problem with the onboard computer. 1,000 feet, and Neil Armstrong can see that the computer is proposing to put them down in a dangerous place. That landing site is full of boulders. If they land there, they will never take off again. At 350 feet, Armstrong ignores his computer navigation and veers away from the rocky landing site with no time to explain to Mission Control.
Okay, all flight controllers, hang tight.
In Mission Control, everybody is stunned. At 300 feet, the Eagle has left its flight plan and taken off at full speed across the face of the moon.
Eagle, Houston, it's descent to fuel. Monitor, over.
90 seconds of fuel remaining. Now less than 200 feet, and the Eagle is too low to safely abort back into orbit. They call this part of the flight plan Dead Man's Curve. The entire moon landing has come down to 2 men and 1 minute.
3 feet, go down now. Bring it down. 4 forward. 4 forward, just to the right roll. Down and half. Contact right. Okay, engine stop. Yes. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
A short time later, history is made again.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now.
For one incredible moment, we are one people with one history, watching our destiny unfold.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
It was a moment shared by an entire world.
Dear man from the planet Earth, first step foot upon the earth. It came in peace for all mankind.
With these first steps, mankind stood on the highest ground, and we saw our planet as our home port in the endless ocean of space.
There was something which was surprising to me. That occurred as I was standing on the surface. Just after we had landed, I'd gone down, standing on the surface, and looking at planet Earth for the first time. Seeing the beauty, seeing the finiteness of it, the limits of it, and realizing what a shame it was that people were confronting each other on that planet without realizing what it was doing to the planet. It was a very emotional moment for me. I actually shed a couple of tears. Something totally unexpected for an engineer and fighter pilot to be crying up quietly up there on the moon.
Mankind had achieved a tenuous foothold in the heavens, and a new and exciting world lay waiting to be explored. The first mission had stayed for only one day, but over the next 3.5 years, 5 more Apollo missions visited the moon, and with each one, we stayed longer, roamed further, and discovered more.
I never thought when I was a kid building rockets, you know, in high school, that we would go to the moon, you know, before the end of the century. I mean, I thought that was something that was way in the future, fantasy.
I was rolling on the moon one day in a very month on November May. I think it's a size of that rock. And it's the best example we got. Just don't stub your toe.
We have got to understand that as a people, we need to stretch. We need to reach beyond our grasp. We need to strive to do things that seem impossible, because in the accomplishment of them, we move society forward.
Boy, isn't the beauty of this place is just absolutely incredible. 3, 2, 1. What a ride, what a ride.
Here is a new exhibit they got here at the Saturn Apollo Center for the 50th anniversary. You could actually leave your footprints on the moon. And here's the ground over here.
Morning, Betty. What, right now? Building 36?
I didn't even know there was a building 36. Must be important. Everyone's here. We have propulsion, aerothermal, flight dynamics.
Anyone know why we're here? For this.
Good morning. We're going to create America's next spacecraft. It's going to launch like a rocket and land like an airplane, and it's going to be reusable. It's not a rocket. It's a shuttle.
Now it's time to go to the next step. From sketch pad to launch pad. Going to the moon was a camping trip. Now our job is to work and live in space. This vehicle has to do something that we have never done before. All right now. The country's waiting. Let's build ourselves a space shuttle.
It's too big, it's too heavy. We're launching one spaceship on the back of an even bigger one.
What if we split the booster into its pieces? Rockets, fuel tank.
It's supposed to be reusable. How do we get all those parts home?
What if we just throw the fuel tank away? What if she lands somewhere other than Florida? How does she get back here? It's a glider.
Buy her a plane ticket home.
do you feel?
I'll let you know. When they come home.
The President's message said, "You go forward this morning on a daring enterprise, and you carry the hopes and prayers of all Americans with you." And astronaut John Young, the commander of the mission, replied, "That's a right fine speech. We sure appreciate it."
This is a Space Shuttle Atlantis, NASA's fourth space flown shuttle. This is how it appeared when it landed on its final mission. And right over here is where the astronauts would enter and exit the shuttle. Pretty amazing. They would enter and exit that small little hole right there. And over to this section, this is where the International Space Station, and they stored all the product that they needed in space. And this arm over here, right over here, that comes out of the space shuttle, would actually hold the astronaut so he wouldn't escape into orbit.
Oh, I see. This is you see the two star trackers?
Here we are standing at the bottom of the Atlantis Space Shuttle, and these are all the tiles and the heat shield that gets burned in on re-entry. As you could tell, you could see all the burn marks all the way streaming across the bottom as it re-enters the planet Earth.
To take the word impossible out of their vocabulary. Go to their teacher tomorrow morning and scratch it out of their dictionary. The word doesn't exist. If I could stand here and tell you that I lived on the moon, that I called the moon my home for 3 days, you tell me what is impossible in this day and age, much less in a generation that follows, much less into the 21st century. Nothing is impossible.
I'm Neil Armstrong. The future of space travel is being written right now in the dreams and imaginations of a new generation. Perhaps that's the greatest legacy of Apollo. It shows our children and grandchildren that with courage, imagination, and the will to explore, no dream is impossible.